one of the things that we look at around accountability is that there's two perspectives on accountability in the marketplace right now. The individual who knows that they want to have more accountability, they have a realization that if I'm more accountable, I'm going to be more successful. And when we sell accountability products, and I'm sure it works for most marketers, is that there's a huge demand for accountability.
Yeah.
And people are seeking it, which is an interesting idea. So the individuals who apply accountability to themselves have this view about accountability as an ability to do the things that they say they want to do. It's, in a sense, it's like an integrity aspect of integrity, right? So I do what I say, and I do what I want to do, and yet most of us don't do what we think we want to do. We do other things. So that's one view of accountability at the individual level. But here's the thing with leaders: is leaders look at accountability completely differently than that. They might look at it for themselves personally that way, but the other way that they look at accountability as a leader is, I want to hold you accountable. I want to hold somebody else accountable. And we don't believe that that's possible. There's a huge multi-million, maybe multi-billion-dollar businesses are out there in terms of helping people to hold other people accountable. There's accountability systems, right? That really, they're just measurement systems. And you set standards for people, and if they miss the standards, they get hammered, right? Or if they beat the standard, they get a bonus or something. So what you really got is you got a consequence management system. And that's the problem, I think, with a lot of people in accountability, is they look at accountability as consequence management, and it's not. In our view of accountability is that it's ownership. My ownership of my responsibility either to do the things I say I'm going to do or not to do those things. And as that's a personal choice of mine to be either accountable or not. And so as a leader, I can't actually hold you to do that. I can only hold myself accountable. What I can do, though, is I can challenge you with your personal accountability. I can challenge you to take greater ownership. I can challenge you to deliver on what you're capable of, and then help you do that. But the consequences of either doing your job or not doing your job are the natural consequences that come from the world. The world will either reward you or punish you. That's not the boss's job, right?
Right.
So
that's great.
When we talk about accountability, therefore, we think it's the foundational principle to high performance, that if you are personally accountable, you are likely to be personally successful. I don't think I've ever met anybody who was successful long-term, and I'm not talking about lottery winners, I'm talking about year after year, decade after decade successful, are people that are accountable. And so that's why we put into the 12-week years, because accountability is really that powerful driver of our success. And it boils down to one thing. Am I willing to take ownership of what my goals are? Am I willing to take ownership of the work between me and the goal? And then am I willing to do that stuff and confront the breakdowns? So if I got to pay attention, and if I've taken accountability, I've taken ownership. The thing about accountability is that people feel like they have to do stuff. I have to go to work. I have to do this. I have to do that. You don't have to do anything. And the reality is, though, if you choose to do something or you choose not to do something, there's going to be consequences, right? So Brian talks about, I don't want to pay my taxes, right? But I don't have to. If I don't pay my taxes, I'm going to probably get a letter from the IRS, probably, oh, by the way, did you forget to send in your check? Don't worry, just send it right away. If I ignore that, then pretty soon they start to get a little bit more threatening. We know you've got some bank accounts, we're going to freeze them. And if I take the money out and I still don't pay them, eventually I'm going to end up in jail, right?
Right.
So the choice I'm making is, do I want to pay my taxes or do I want to go to jail? I might not like either choice, but I choose to pay my taxes because I don't want to go to jail. Here's the key to that, is that if I think I have to pay taxes, it's much more onerous. If I realize I'm choosing to pay taxes as part of my larger vision for myself, it's a lot less onerous. So that realization that accountability is about what I choose to do, not that I have to do anything, but I choose to do the things that help me accomplish my goals. And that's a huge psychological relief for me, because when you have choice, you have control.
Why do you think people, and this is my own personal curiosity, like when you say that people don't want to confront, you call it confronting the breakdown. Mm-hmm. That's, what do you think happens to people in that moment? They don't want to measure it because they don't want to see it. They don't want to confront it.
That's a really, really good question, Diane. And I'm sure you have, the way you're asking the question, I think you have a lot of answers to that yourself.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm people are fascinating to me. And I really like how it's just very clear that the system has been in place for a long time. There's a lot of people that do what the system does, and they're successful at it. They're doubling, tripling, and quadrupling their business because they've chosen something that might be uncomfortable, right? And the other thing that I think about is this idea of commitment versus interests, right? Because commitment's a really big part of this, isn't it?
You know, it is. It's a huge part. And so really accountability and commitment are so closely related because they're actually two sides, I think, of the same coin, psychological coin. But you're right. The people don't want to confront that gap between what they said they were going to do and what they actually did because it's uncomfortable. It reads to them as a story about how they lack integrity, they lack professionalism, they lack competency, they lack the drive, or they lack something, right? The reality is it's just information. If you look at the dashboard of your car and you notice you're low on gas, I mean, that's not an existential crisis. You don't beat yourself up. What a bad person I am for not putting gas in the car. What do? You drive to the gas station, put gas in the car, right? That's all these numbers are telling you. So you're low on gas over here. You need to put some gas in this car over here. Otherwise, you're going to run out of gas.
The consequence,
But people read into this emotional baggage into the numbers. And it does relate to this concept of accountability because we don't commit to everything. And when we think about a commitment is something that we confuse with our interests all the time. I could be interested in a lot of things. And when the going gets tough or when it gets difficult to pursue those interests, I can let them go and I don't beat myself up. Where I get in trouble is when I'm interested in something, but I think I'm committed to it. Right. So, there's a lot of things that people get involved with like that. They're interested in somebody, so they marry them in a commitment. And then it turns out, well, I was just kind of, right. Because you didn't know the costs. There's a price you pay for accomplishing a goal. And a commitment means you're committing not just to the outcome, but to the price you pay on the way. And people don't pay attention to the price.